Back in April, the eShop closed for good, causing physical game prices of the 3DS and Wii U to skyrocket, leading a lot of people to suggest that prices were only going to get higher. It's been 6 months since that happened, and prices have actually cooled considerably. Welcome to Retronomics, the series that follows price trends in video games, and today we're taking a look at 3DS game prices 6 months after the eShop has closed down, and with news that the online features for these games will cease to exist next year. Before we get started, here's how Retronomics works. I get all of my prices from pricecharting.com, and I check eBay's available listings to determine if the price will go up, down, or stay the same. All the prices listed in the video are complete in box and North American variants. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, make sure that you like the video, and if you are new here, consider subscribing for future content. It's the best way to help the channel, and it's absolutely free. Also, if you don't mind, comment your favorite 3DS game and why. So let's get into some overall stats. When you filter out all of the different console variants, there are 37 games over $100 complete in box, which is 20 games higher than what I reported back in April. Back in April, there were 8 over $200, and now there's 13. So it's not as dramatic, but also keep in mind Price Charting likes to add new items every month to their list. So I do try to filter that out, but some of them do creep back in. So there is some variance there. Now, when I made that video back in April, there were a handful of games that I thought were either going to hold their value or increase, and well, I wasn't quite on the mark. Usually I hedge my bets to avoid such awkward moments, but hey, no one is perfect, and now we have more information as time goes on and we can better predict the prices. Usually prices do fall after a bump, but 3DS had a different vibe going for it back when I made that video, and it seemed like the prices were going to drop just a little and then level out, but what happened is that they dropped a lot. 18 games that I forecasted last video had a drop in percentage when compared to this time last year, some as much as 25%. When you compare the prices to what they were back in April, 21 games dropped in price, but 13 of them dropped more than 20%. Mario Superstar Saga dropped almost 50%, or about $30. Only 4 games rose more than $1 since April: Barbie Grooming Glam Pups and Guide Louvre, which wasn't that surprising, and also Persona Q. But what was surprising was the increase in price of Cubic Ninja. That game was $10 forever and has now tripled in value in the past few months. Why? Well, I'm not really sure. The only results that I search for on Google are from 2014 when that exploit was discovered. Maybe people are nostalgic for that time in history? Modern Vintage Gamer actually talked about it in May, but the price didn't start increasing until July, so it could be anybody's guess. But when you look at other games, most drop more than $1, with the new 3DS XL dropping $120 in just the past 6 months. Another thing to notice is that sales per week, which I started including in more recent videos. It is interesting to see the correlation between the number of sales with the price. Kid Icarus, Link Between Worlds, and Ocarina of Time all sell about 14 times a week, and all 3 drop from April. No game with over 7 sales a week is over $100, but it doesn't mean that lower sales increase the price. Real Fishing 3D, for example, has 1 sale a month, and that's one of the cheapest games that I forecast. I got the stats up here on the screen at the moment so you can check for yourself. I included the current price as of the writing of this video, and it does take a bit of time to write these, so price charting may have changed the price just a little prior to posting, and it's not usually enough to change the outcome of my stats, but I get enough comments acting like this video is updated along with the prices in real time, so I thought I'd point it out. There's also year-over-year change, year-over-year percent change since April, percent change since April, and sales per week. So let me know what stats you would like to see in the future videos, as I'm trying to revamp this series a little bit to make it more engaging, so feedback is appreciated. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the individual price trends. The new 3DS Black version is down from its peak back in March and seems to be leveling off. It's actually dropped about 7% from this time last year. Obviously, a complete in-box version is going to cost more, so if you're okay with loose, you can save some money. But the good news is that if you didn't buy into the hype in March, you're going to be rewarded. Shin Megami Tensei has also dropped about 18% since last year, and the price has been consistent for the past couple of months, only changing about $5 or so. I'd consider buying now if you've been waiting for a deal. Last video I mentioned that copies of Bravely Default were cheaper sealed, and that's because of the United Arab Emirates versions. But it seems to have affected the CIB prices as well, because the price has dropped about 20% since last year and about $20 since its peak back in March. And it's the North American version as well, so buy now or wait. Rayman 3D is a pretty neat barometer for 3DS game prices. It looks like it rose a little bit with the eShop closing down, but now it's back to the price it was back in October of last year. And looking a little closer, it looks like the price jump was in May instead of March, indicating that people were going for the most expensive games first and working their way back down. It's interesting to see, and the game is still under 20 bucks. I thought Spirit Camera would rise in price as horror games were on the rise, but it appears like most of the other games on this list, the price has been dropping. Only about 5% year over year, but it's still down from its peak in March. If you could find one now, buy it. Okay, so this one is super interesting, and that's Cubic Ninja. This was super flat for ages, and then in July it almost tripled in value, making it one of the biggest increases I've seen since the start of the whole 2020 retro gaming boom. Honestly, I would wait to see if it goes down, as it isn't that great of a game and the exploit that it used is no longer viable. Cave Story is back down to its original price that it was prior to the eShop closing down, and while this version is unique to the 3DS, other versions on the platform might be keeping this price stable, since a lot of people, myself included, might just see it and think that they're the same. The one with the lenticular cover is still significantly more expensive, so keep an eye out and buy it when you see it. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D came down a bit since its spike in March, but it's still higher than it was last year. But under $30 for a complete in-box Zelda game on the 3DS is still a significant deal. The game is one of the best-selling games on the platform, so it's not really surprising that used copies can be found for so cheap. I don't think that we'll see a significant increase in this from here on out. Fire Emblem Fates Conquest is back down from its peak from April and actually down 9% since last year. Older Fire Emblem games are always pretty pricey, but ever since Nintendo has put its full force behind the series, newer entries aren't that expensive, so consider buying now if you're a fan of the series. Kid Icarus Uprising is still pretty pricey despite falling after its peak back in March. Like I mentioned before, the big box with the stand and the AR cards are going to be the one that's going to fetch the high price tag, so I would hold out for that one and pick it up when you find a price you're comfortable with. I don't think that we'll see another Kid Icarus game on modern platforms anytime soon. In the last video, Yokai Watch had been steadily increasing, and while it's only about $1 or $2 more than it was in April, it's not going to drop anytime soon. Most games that are over $200 prior to the 2020 game boom will remain that way for the foreseeable future. The real question is, how high will it go? Given the price trend, it might reach $400 by this time next year, so consider picking it up. Dragon Quest VIII is under $100 for the first time in forever, and there are a decent amount of copies for around the current trading price on eBay. So I'd say that we're going to see this game level out or drop a little bit more in the next couple of months. So consider keeping an eye out and picking it up if you've been waiting. The Guide Louvre just ratchets up in price over time. There aren't that many copies available, so that's why you get a couple of months where the price just doesn't move. I really don't see this game coming down in price unless Nintendo puts cameras on the Switch 2 and releases it on that platform. Hey, it could happen, but until it does, the price is the lowest point from here on out. Barbie Groom and Glam Pups is the most expensive 3DS game and will remain that way for a while. As much as I think Guide Louvre is the more unique Grail game, the guide was readily sold until recently, so there's a lot more out there than Barbie. If you want to buy this, then have at it, but I don't know how high it can possibly get given how prices have cooled off in general. Real Fishing 3D rose just a little bit since my last video, but it's still pretty inexpensive and not close to the spike in July of 2022, so if it interests you, add it to your collection. Metal Gear Solid 3D is one game that I was wrong about. It dropped about 30% since last year and about $40 from my last video in May, and I'm happy to be wrong if it's the price that's dropped, probably due to the re-release of the Metal Gear Solid collection on modern platforms. I just checked Twin Snakes on the GameCube and that dropped as well, so keep an eye out and pull the trigger if the price is right or see if it'll drop further. Last video I said to ride out Shovel Knight's FOMO, and hey, if you took my advice, it seems to have paid off. The price has dropped just over 7% since my last video, but it's still up just a little since last year. That being said, it still is a great buy since the physical version is such high quality with that manual. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D has dropped a bit as well as Shovel Knight, and it's been relatively stable in price since June after dropping $15. Since the definitive version is available on the Nintendo Switch in physical form, I don't really see this increasing in price since, at least in my opinion, playing an RPG on a bigger TV is more comfortable. Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright has dropped almost $80 since my last video, so I wasn't really on the mark on this one either. It's been dropping in price 5 out of the 6 months as well. Of course, as I write this video, there aren't that many available for Price Charting's price outside of one pending auction, so if you're patient, I think that we'll eventually see more of the copies listed start to reduce their price. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions has dropped almost $30 since my last video and almost 10% year over year. What's interesting is that it dropped right after my last video and has been kind of bouncing between its original price like the spike has never happened. Probably because a lot of world copies have flooded the market, which, hey, it's good for everybody since Price Charting can't seem to tell the difference. Senran Kagura 2 didn't see a spike like other games on this list. The price has actually been pretty consistent since December of last year, so consider buying it now if you find a copy that you want to add to your collection. Rhythm Thief has dropped in price since my last video, and there's more copies available on eBay this time around for the Price Charting price, which kind of answers the question that I postulated last time. Is this game rare? Well, I'll let you be the judge. I think it'll be worth it to wait this one out to see if the price drops a little bit lower. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse is down from last year about $60 from its peak, but there aren't that many copies available for what Price Charting has it listed, so maybe wait this one out. Perhaps the Shantae hype train is dying out, or maybe it's just because the game has a limited audience and people are tired of buying the same game over and over again on multiple platforms. A Link Between Worlds is a great game to add to your collection. The price has remained steady with the exception of the spike in March and April. I don't really have anything to add. It's unlikely to get a port or a sequel anytime soon, so buy now or wait. Persona Q is one of the few games to see an increase year over year, but it's only increased about $1 or so I would consider adding it to your collection now or wait to see if the price drops a bit more to your liking. Tales of the Abyss has dropped in value year over year like most of the other games on this list, a little more, but still not enough to consider that the whole bottom is falling out of these prices. Consider keeping an eye out for the price that's within your budget because at least at the recording of this video, there aren't a lot for the Price Charting's price. Thanks so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please give it a like and share it with those who might find it interesting. And if you are new here and you like what you see, please subscribe for future content. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at snicktendo. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick, and I'll see you next time.